The Democrat machine's been smashed to pieces, and they don't have a mechanic with the tools to fix it. Nobody watches liberal media. Lawfare's dead. All the hoaxes have been debunked. Cancel culture's canceled, and the left can't censor you.
We are all willing to work with anyone who's serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress.
Democrats lost their weapons. Their protests are lame. The only one getting giddy is Maddow.
At a Tesla dealership showroom thing in Manhattan, sort of a big crowd turned out there with very good signage. This is a pretty good one. Bad Doge. I've been wondering if we should call, why do we say Doge, right? Like, why are we playing along with the joke and their framing of it? There's just as much of a case that we should be calling it Dog-E.
Schumer told us Democrats were getting aroused, but it turns out people are pissed. The top brass at the party's mad at liberal groups that keep calling congressional offices, telling them to fight harder. One Democrat answered the phone and said, just call the Republicans, please. Democrats have given up until the midterms, but Morning Joe isn't buying it.
I'm a bit frustrated when I hear about how helpless Democrats are because they're in the minority in the Senate, because they're in the minority in the House. I keep hearing about how poor Democrats are so helpless, they can't do anything. No, they're elected, and they're elected to do just this. The minority in the United States Senate always has power.
The only thing Schumer could cook up to fight Trump was a deep state snitch line where people were supposed to rat on Republicans, but it backfired. Chuck's been flooded with reports of insider trading, relationships with Chinese spies, and complaints about Fauci. Oops. No one's listening to Democrat leaders, so they're calling in their kids for backup. Tim Walz's daughter's on the front lines.
Signing an executive order that pertains to 1% of the population is not protecting women, and it's loser behavior. I have never felt unsafe around a trans person. I have felt unsafe around men. So maybe let's deal with that.
You feel unsafe around men? That's why Trump's keeping them out of your locker room. He's going to protect you, whether you like it or not. But there's a small, feisty group of people that want to change that. Worcester, Massachusetts, held a vote on whether it should become a transgender sanctuary city.
Normally, I would say good evening, but through the chair, I will only impart my sour grapes.
My name in drag is Dee Dee Delight. And my name out of drag is Dewey Cosgrove Atienza.
My name is Pastor Julie Payne Britton. I use the pronoun she and her, and I am disabled cisgender lesbian.
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT. I speak as someone who is always misgendered, like all the time. People refer to me as sir when I prefer to be referred to as ma'am.
That's the new face of the resistance. The golden age put him in a dark place.
I'm shaking right now. I don't want to be here. I'm sorry, am I taking too long pleading for my life?
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am. You better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
I do not want to be here. It's my day off. I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter on my face so that you will hear and see me.
Can you look at me and tell me how many of my friends need to die before you do anything?
Please wrap up.
Look at me.
Okay, we're all done here.
Pathetic.
No, we're all done. Come on.
It wouldn't be a drag show without a musical number.
Oh my gosh.
All Democrats know how to do is swear, sue, and sing. Worcester saw all that and sided with the drag squad. It's now a trans sanctuary city. But that's not going to stop Trump from penetrating the city lines. If illegals can't hide from Homan in Chicago, men can't sneak into girls' bathrooms in Massachusetts. This is a desperate play. We're less than a month into Trump's presidency, and they're making new sanctuary cities and calling for reparations.
Our government, no matter who is in power, has an obligation to right these wrongs, to provide reparations for descendants of enslaved Africans, to eliminate the racial wealth gap, to uplift the Black community. White supremacy is rampant in this country. Just look at the current administration.
Black excellence scares Donald Trump. It scares Stephen Miller, and it scares Elon Musk. Because you know what? Deep down, they recognize their own mediocrity.
While Democrats are complaining, Trump's working around the clock. He held a press conference at 10 o'clock at night to welcome home Mark Fogel, an American hostage he promised to free during the campaign. Fogel was arrested by Russia in 2021 and then detained for 3 years. Biden couldn't get him out, but Trump brought him home in less than a month. Fogel sung Trump's praises while holding a can of beer from his home state of PA.
I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now. And I want you to know that I am not a hero in this at all. And President Trump is a hero.
A second American prisoner was just released from Belarus earlier today. Trump's motor won't stop running. Even his own family's impressed.
Grandpa hardly sleeps.
Yeah, he's a whole different animal. Like, I mean, during the end of the campaign, when I watched a 78-year-old man do 2 all-nighters in a row, and then like, I'm dying. You know, we're on the plane coming back, and he puts on music, and he's doing like Trump DJ night. I'm like, I just want to go to bed. The guy, after 2 all-nighters, goes right on like national television, like morning shows, like where it matters.
It's crazy for like what he does and his age. I think it's crazy.
Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders is a former White House press secretary. How are you, Governor?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Do you have any trans sanctuary cities in Arkansas?
We most certainly don't. And all that I see when I'm watching these desperate political stunts is a reminder of how thankful I am that Donald Trump is in the White House. Honestly, it is sad and laughable what is taking place and just shows how out of touch the woke left really is. After losing so badly in November, you would think that they might try to change tactics, change courses, but they don't. While they're having these ridiculous displays, Donald Trump is literally freeing hostages and welcoming them into the White House. What a contrast, what a difference of what real leadership looks like. And I'm thankful that we have Donald Trump back there fighting for all of us.
Yeah, freeing hostages is not a Republican or Democrat issue. Neither is cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. Why do you think, Governor, the Democrats are moving radical left? They just got whacked in November. And now we're hearing about reparations, trans sanctuary cities, and God knows what else.
I'm honestly almost at a loss for words. It's truly baffling to see that they don't understand where the American public is. Donald Trump won an overwhelming victory because people wanted something different. They wanted somebody who would actually secure our borders instead of opening them up wide. They wanted somebody who would be respected across the globe. They wanted somebody who would bring our people back home, bring law and order to our country, and get rid of the absolute waste. America's $36 trillion in debt. We should be looking at all of the waste and the fraud. The president is spot on to go after all of these insane programs, get rid of them, and make sure we're actually using taxpayer money wisely. He has not stopped since the day he stepped into office, and I don't think he's going to over the next 4 years. I think that the Democrats are terrified at what all he's going to find. Maybe they're using this as a distraction. It's really the only thing I can think of that makes sense why they're continuing down this road.
Yeah, they definitely are acting guilty, like they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Real quick, because we got to go. What is the one thing you notice differently about Donald Trump in the second term?
Look, I think this is a person who now has been there and has experience. He is moving at a rapid lightning speed at which Joe Biden didn't do in all 4 years of office what President Trump has already been able to accomplish just in the first few weeks. I think this is a person who is motivated and has a very clear priority list, and he's going to get it all done and get it done quickly.
All right, checking a lot of boxes. Good to see you, Governor. Say everybody
Thanks.
hello from Watters World down in Arkansas.